So, great new PlayStation 6 handheld slash PlayStation Portable 3 leak and surprise news from Sony. Those are the stories we're going to cover today. And if you could hit that like button on the video, thank you to those that do it. And as always, it's very much appreciated. First, are you more excited for the PlayStation 6 handheld or the PlayStation 6 home console? We've been talking about both for a bit now, and you guys know I'm excited for both, but after hearing the handheld is dockable, my excitement jumped for the handheld more so, but that's just me. What about you? So comment below, are you more excited for the PlayStation 6 handheld or the home console? Let me know down in the comments below. Now diving into the first story of the video, surprise news from Sony. Reading from Push Square, in a move that seems to have been planned behind the scenes for quite some time, Sucker Punch co-founder Brian Fleming has announced his departure from the Seattle-based studio after 3 decades of service. The bigwig has overseen the creation of legendary PlayStation series such as Sly Cooper, Infamous, and most recently Ghost of Yotei. In a statement, Sony said it had been working with Fleming all year to ensure the studio is in the best of hands moving forward, which brings us to the developers and new studio heads who will assume the role beginning 1st January. Veterans Jason Connell and Adrian Bentley, the pair will be tasked with guiding the team's focus on ambition, character-driven experiences. Connell worked as co-creative director on both Ghost of Tsushima and Ghost of Yotei, while Bentley most recently served as technical director. As you can probably tell from their previous titles, the pair represent the best of Sucker Punch creative and technical talent, which Sony says will bring the perfect blend to their new leadership positions. Nate Fox, if you're wondering, will maintain a very high position at the studio as co-creative director. While he may seem like the natural successor to Fleming, we're going to assume he'd rather focus on all his energy on creative endeavors. So a new era for Sucker Punch under new leadership then, but the spirit of the studio will endure. So, salute to Brian Fleming for being a part of multiple franchises that I personally grew up on and enjoyed. I personally hope he's not fully retiring and maybe does what others do when they leave a major studio like this and start a small indie studio to do smaller creative projects that maybe they couldn't have gotten greenlit at a major studio like Sucker Punch. Of course, we'll see on that, and if anything like that happens, of course, he could also just retire and take a well-earned rest. Thanks to him, and of course the people that have worked on Sucker Punch projects over the years, we had many great games to play. It's also interesting to see them here take the Insomniac approach and have multiple people take on a single person's previous leadership role. I assume that's to keep things stable instead of putting the whole set of pressure on one person. You have 2 here to bounce ideas on and hopefully make good choices, of course. Let's see how the studio evolves, and if you're enjoying the video so far, hit that subscribe button and join our growing community on our way to 150,000 subscribers.
You're on your own. The blast core glows purple. You cannot miss it.
I'll find it.
And now diving into the final story of the video, great new PlayStation 6 handheld slash PSP3 leak. So recently we spoke about the next generation of PlayStation handhelds and how PlayStation is reportedly pushing for support for their new low power mode in the backend, according to Moore's Law is Dead. They're really pushing it on developers. This new low power mode is how Sony seemingly intends to have backwards compatibility with their PS5 games for this new handheld. They currently, of course, advertise it as an environmental feature, but really it's a cover. They don't want to say handheld right away. They want to obviously save that for later. PS4 games will work on this new handheld since it's just max 1080p games, so it's perfect for it, but PS5 games are running at 4K 30, 1080p 120, 1440p 120, and you'll have some games running at 4K 120. You can't run those games on the same performance levels on this new handheld because it needs a lot of power. So this new low power mode is supposed to be a way for developers to support the handheld and reduce performance levels before the handheld reportedly launches in 2027. The problem here is that developers are supporting this new mode, but they've kind of just reduced the FPS counter to 30 FPS and then they offer this mode as an additional option. That's an issue for Sony, who wants developers to maintain their performance levels. Like I said before, you won't notice as much a reduction in resolution or visual effects on a smaller screen, but you will notice a change in performance. Jumping from 60 FPS on your console, for example, which is what most people have gotten used to, then jumping to 30 FPS on the handheld is going to be noticeable and reduce how smooth the game feels. And I don't think Sony wants that, but they're clearly not telling developers that this is for a new handheld, so developers don't have as much motivation to support it. New information has come out from Moore's Law is Dead. According to him, Sony has patched in support for low power mode going all the way back to the first SDK for the PlayStation 5. This is significant because say you have a game that launched in 2020 and you want to support this new low power mode. A new feature like that would probably require you to update your SDK version for your game, but the problem with that for developers is that could break things in their game. Their game would probably have to be regression tested again, and any issues would need to be fixed. This, of course, takes time and resources away from new work, and it depends on the developer if this is beneficial for them to do. So if Sony did patch in support for low power mode going all the way back to SDK 1.0, then that will allow any developer for any of their games going back to 2020 to just focus on optimizing performance for this new mode without having to worry about things breaking because they needed to update their game to a new SDK version. They can just focus on optimizing it, and it's easier to get support for this new mode now that they've patched it in to every version of the PlayStation 5 SDK. This is Sony clearly pushing heavily for developers to support this new low power mode. They clearly want as many games, as many PlayStation 5 games ready with this new mode supported day one. I assume Sony wants to announce that they have, most of your library ready to go on this new handheld at launch, and of course advertise that as well. According to Moore's Law is Dead, Sony's also pushing developers to make sure their games run on a minimum of 8 threads for a CPU setup. The PS5, of course, supports 16 threads with its CPU, but according to Moore's Law is Dead, the PlayStation 6 handheld will have 4 gaming cores for its CPU, meaning 8 threads, which is another indication that this is for PSP3, the next generation handheld. Sony should just tell developers this is for the new handheld, and that would most likely motivate them to add support for this new low power mode at a faster rate, especially now that they've reportedly patched in support for low power mode for every PlayStation 5 SDK version. That's a big step. But you guys let me know if you've tried this new low power mode on your PlayStation 5 yet or not. Let me know down in the comments below, and if you guys did enjoy this video, please hit that like button. As it always helps, to subscribe if you're new. I got new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and now I'll check you guys out on the next one. And welcome back to the after show. This is the part of the video where we have a little fun down in the comments below. If you're old, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. For today's thing, what I want you guys to do is the body, obliterate, destroy, and overall harass the comment section with PlayStation on the go. This is obviously in reference to their new upcoming potential PlayStation 6 handheld or PlayStation Portable 3. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to hopefully see more leaks on it in terms of, maybe how the design will look next year, maybe if they're using OLED or LCD. I'm assuming they're going to use LCD similar to the PlayStation Portal, which of course that screen already looks great, but I'm excited for all of that. If you are as well, destroy the comment section with PlayStation on the go, and I'll definitely heart those comments like I always do because I appreciate everybody who stays to the end of my videos. And now I'll check you guys out on the next one.